What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode. For those of you who are new here, my name is Johnny. This is very obviously not our bus, Miles with Smiles, and he is nowhere to be found right now. Regan is not here, but I'm out here on my first mountain bike ride of the season, out at Manuka Park here in, I believe, New Berlin, Wisconsin. Only about 15 minutes away from where we live. I'm only going to be so close to this trail for so long, and this is the first day of the season it was open. So I had to come out. It's Friday, the day this video is coming out, but I had to come out, get on the trail. And since this is something we're gonna do on the road, I'm gonna do a lot of on the road. I'm gonna start showing you guys some mountain bike content, showing you around. I'm already huffing and puffing, just got the first climb. Wanted to come on here in the beginning of the video and say, this is an awesome episode. A few reasons. I had a birthday. You guys got us to 500 subscribers. Chris and Sarah came over from Skoolie Living. They came over and helped us build our couch, which is incredible, and we just made a ton of progress. So super excited about this video and just to show you guys everything that we built. Thank you so much to every 520 of you now who are subscribed to the channel. It's so fun to see faces coming back in the comments. I think I say that later in this video, but it really is, you know, there's a huge journey ahead. So stay around, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's get to some mountain biking. Fun little flowy bit right here. So let's go, then we'll get to the bus. All right, here we go, guys. Yoo-hoo! Feels good to be back on the bike. Little hop coming up. Woo. All right, cool rock feature up over the top. Oh, this got much chunkier. It is much chunkier than it was last year. Up and over. Here's one of my favorite parts. Legs are tired. Alright guys, all back from biking. I'm all freshened up. Now let's get talking about what we built. So we started farthest point back, building from the back forward. We started with the kitchen cabinets, and you can see here we're not building them out of plywood. We actually went with what I guess most people would consider a stick framing method, and that's for a couple reasons. A, plywood prices are insane right now. Lumber prices are in general, but plywood prices, especially for nice plywood that you want to use for cabinetry. Also, I thought it was just going to be a lot harder to make cabinet boxes and just make them perfectly square and fit and everything. So just made it a lot easier for us and the way we were trying to build it and the things we were trying to build in here to make them out of 2x2s, 2x3s, and a combination of both. You can actually see here, we're doing our first remodel of the bus. We realized when we were building this, we actually had to slightly move a wall, just an inch or two, but our first remodel, and we haven't even moved into the bus yet. Anyways, on the very bottom, in order to give ourselves a little bit of a kick plate or a toe kick, I believe it's called. Basically, it's the area underneath your cabinets that gives your toes a little bit of space while you're standing there. And how we did that is we first secured a 2x2 into the ground and then put a 2x3 on top of it. And that left us a little bit of an overhang, and it's not super tall, but it's at least a little bit of a toe kick, and when we put the face framing on, it adds a little bit more depth to it. But it's not quite as high as a standard toe kick will be, so just take that into consideration. From those bottom pieces, we obviously put vertical pieces where we needed them relative to where we're placing things. Here we have the chest fridge on the far right, and then we're doing cabinetry on the left. Next day, we actually flipped over to the other side and did our coffee bar. So we built this in a similar fashion, 2x2s, 2x3s, and again, started from the bottom, made ourselves a nice square base, and then built up from there and made sure our top was nice and square as well. Of course, we're using pocket holes throughout most of this. There was a few occasions where we drilled from the top down into various posts and things, but mostly we're using pocket holes to secure this at all the different seams. Now I will say, if you're building it this way with stick framing and 2x2 specifically, you definitely need to anchor it into something, and something that's not just the back wall. We came back the next day, or next time we were back after building the cabinets, and realized we hadn't secured the front of the cabinets in, and there was a little bit of play. And then once we secured it into the back wall, and then also ended up securing it into the front couch, it became super solid. But while that front was floating, it wasn't super sturdy. I mean, that's kind of the nature of 2x2s. They're sturdy, but you can only fit so many screws in them, and they're only going to be so solid. So definitely make sure that when you're building these, and you should be doing that anyways, you're really securing them well into the floor, into the surrounding walls, so that way if you do have an accident or something does happen, you have also hopefully less things flying everywhere. Here we took a little detour after we got our framing done for the cabinets and started to build our bathroom wall. And this isn't just going to be a normal bathroom wall, so you're going to have to stay tuned for next week. But this is going to be pretty awesome. Once we got our framing done and sized properly, it was time to put the chest fridge in and mount it on the heavy-duty drawer slides that we got. So we got 20-inch heavy-duty drawer slides. We'll talk about this later, but 20 inches ended up being just a little bit too short. But these drawer slides can hold up to 500 pounds, so plenty of strength here. The fridge itself, I think, weighs like 60 pounds, and then even if we pack that with food, it's probably not going to be 500 pounds. But we used a base piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and then 2x3s on the side screwed in from the bottom. And we're going to build a little bit more framing here to hold a door front. But this took a bit of finagling just to make sure we had good clearance and everything could slide in and out easily. It was our first time mounting drawer slides. So just making sure everything was level, everything's, went in and out nicely. And then we realized it wasn't actually going to work with what we wanted to do. But that's okay. We figured out hopefully a fix for it. We'll talk about that later. But I think we're going to have this functioning perfectly and not lose any storage space because of it. And now comes the really exciting part, building the couch. So Chris and Sarah, Skoolie Living, came over on my birthday to help build a couch. And they even brought the bus by, which was super fun. So they wanted to get the bus out on the road, and this gave them a good excuse. And the reason we called them by is they built a similar design with drawer slides. Now, not quite exactly the same. I knew that they had built it with drawer slides rather than the typical slat method that most people do. And I'll tell you why I didn't want to go with the slat method. The reason for that being is we wanted this to be a huge bed up here. And when I see people build the slat couches, they just don't seem to be able to pull out quite as much. So I wanted to have a queen or bigger bed up here for our guests, and we definitely accomplished that with this method. The other part I don't like about the stick building method is typically when you lift it up to access the storage, you still have something sticking in your face, and you still have that leg support sticking in your face. So storage didn't seem too easily accessed to me. But hopefully this design is going to eliminate all that, and using, again, 500-pound drawer slides is what we use here. So the idea is these are basically just drawers that are going to hold people. They're just going to be floating platforms. So these 500-pound drawer slides, obviously that holds plenty of weight. So we just needed to make sure that we built a frame that was going to be nice and sturdy and be able to handle that weight. So we built everything out of 2x4s, secured it into the back wall, secured it into the floor, secured it into the cabinetry like we mentioned, and also even the front wall. So this thing is super solid, and I feel great about having people sit on these, sleep on them. I don't think we're gonna have any issues with them, and I'm super excited. Our front area, we realized when it's in bed mode, is actually gonna be bigger than our bed in the back. This is gonna end up being about the size of a California king bed up here. So our guests are gonna be living in luxury, glamping while they're with us, but I think we're gonna love this too. Even without the dinette and just pulling these out, this bed is huge. It's 66 inches wide by 72 inches long. So then you add the dinette onto that, and it's like 84 inches by 84 plus by 72. So it's huge, and it floats, which is pretty cool. Got all of the 2x4 frames in, acting as those drawers. Regan tested it out there, and that was pretty much it. Chris and Sarah helped us accomplish this, and then it was a matter of getting something to cover the holes. So we used 3/4 inch plywood and small strips of 3/4 inch plywood around the edge, just to provide something for the plywood to sit on, and so it would stop and not fall all the way through. We haven't decided if we're gonna make these pieces of plywood removable or not, or if they're gonna be permanently fixed. But either way, they sit nice and flush and are going to provide a great surface. Regan and I randomly came by the other night, finished up the last bit of taking out the bus electrical. So this was a project you've seen us do part of, but we never finished the final bits. And we're very happy to say they're done. So taking out electrical is done, still got some to put back in. And then that brings us to yesterday, Thursday. I came back by myself just to get done what I could get done. So I decided to start to make the cabinets look pretty. Put that panel there against the couch, and then I decided it was time to start putting the face framing on the cabinets. We just used 1.5 inch pieces of pine and 2.5 inch pieces, cutting them down as needed, rather than making one big face plate or anything like that. We felt that this was gonna be an easier method, and turns out great, and we're gonna paint it anyways. So glued it on, nail gunned it on, and then wood fillered the seams and wood fillered the holes, just to try and make it all look like as much of one piece as possible, even though it's not. What's up, guys? Johnny from Thursday. Now that you watched us build it, let's go ahead and show you some of the finer details and show you where we stand as of now. So, we're better to start than the star of the show this episode, a floating couch. Super, super happy with how this turned out. So thank you again to Chris and Sarah for coming by and helping us out. You can see it's kind of I awkwardly ended this piece of wood. It was only this long, and I think we're going to end up cutting it here anyways, because we're going to make a little separate arm cubby that's going to have some storage in it. So that'll slide right in there. We've still got probably about 4 to 6 inches of space there. And that'll make a nice armrest for this side of the couch. And then obviously you saw me today. I put on this base plate and then all these little pieces in the middle. And I also added a little riser here. So you can see on these guys, the middle ones, there's about an extra 1/4 inch compared to our slides here. The reason for that being is we're still going to have a piece of 1/2 inch plywood come down on here, and it's going to sit on these middle bars, or these middle pieces of wood where the drawer slides are attached to. So we just wanted a little bit of separation between this and the actual slides, so that way when the plywood's on here with cushions and whatever, even people, the slides are going to easily slide, and they're not going to get much pressure from the plywood that's sitting here on top. So a little bit, just 1/4 inch. And then we added these little guys just to make the face real nice. So we're still gonna add like some faces to here. Not so sure if they're gonna sit recessed in here or if they'll sit on top of this. All right, so you probably saw how this all works when we were building it. You maybe did, maybe didn't get a very good idea. But these all slide out 32 inches. And they can completely support whatever weight you want to throw at it. So whether you want to sit on one individually around the table, or whether you want to lay down in our bed here, it's all going to work out. So let me show you a couple of the configurations here. Well, really, we've only got 2 main configurations: bed mode and U-shaped dinette eating mode. So let's show you that real quick. So here we are, all the way pushed in. Obviously, we're going to have our 2 dinette seats here. You can see them boxed out. And then we're going to have our table in the middle. And you can actually see our table pedestal back there, which is going to sit here towards the edge. And the reason it's going to sit towards the edge is because our table is actually going to be able to flip out and become a long table. And since we wanted to be able to utilize all sides of the table when we're sitting there, that's why we sectioned this the way we did. So, slide this guy out. And now you have dinette seat next to this seat, and you still have all this couch seating because there's going to be a piece of plywood over here. Now, you pull this guy out, and you'll notice they'll go all the way and meet the dinette. But now, since there's going to be a long table here in the middle, you have a full U of seating all the way around the table, and the dogs can still crawl underneath if they want. Not sure they're going to be doing that, but I mean, completely floating. So it's kind of a cool visual. That's the idea here. And these slide back in real nicely. Some of you may be asking yourself, well, aren't you going to have to pull out these slides anytime you want to get at the storage underneath? You know, we're obviously, like I mentioned multiple times now, we're going to have that 1/2 inch piece of plywood. So are we really going to lift the plywood up and pull these out every time? We're not sure. We actually have these just set in here right now. So these are just 3/4 inch pieces of plywood. And we have them just set in right now because we're not sure. We want to potentially have them as removable pieces. So you'd only pull them out if you pulled out the seat to use it. And we tuck them just here behind the driver's seat. But that way, you would only have to lift the piece of plywood up and your storage would always be accessible. If we did it like this, you'd have to lift the plywood and you'd have to pull these out anytime you wanted to get out the storage. Probably not ideal, so we're probably going to end up having these be separate removable pieces. But for now, they're in there. They work great. We still may add something here on the back, and we realize we're actually going to have to add something in front of the window here because we're going to have a cushion there on the back. We just don't want anybody leaning against the window. And then that way, if the window is open, you don't lean against it and almost fall out. So we're going to do that yet. Probably something just below the emergency exit handles, just enough to give it some back. But I put this piece in here today, this front piece, and this side piece over here. So the couch is completely sealed off and basically set besides our piece of plywood on top and obviously some cushions. Moving away from the couch, moving to the next mega slide bit is our chest fridge. So this is all mounted up. Oops. This is all mounted up as well. Sort of finished, sort of not. part of our problem is we got 20-inch drawer slides, and what we realized was we're going to actually need a little bit longer. I didn't think we'd be able to fit any longer in there, but I think we could actually fit potentially up to 24 if we need it, but we bought 22-inch slides. So let me explain what we ran into real quick. We want to put a drawer above here, which means we want to maximize the amount of space we have here. We only have probably about 5 or 6 inches. But our issue is we've got these latches back here that you need to use to open the fridge. So in order to get at these latches, you kind of have to reach under here. And so if there's a drawer here, it would be in the way. But we figure if we can get this to come out another couple inches, that's going to give us enough room to be able to reach back there and also still have a drawer up there. And now again, some of you might be thinking, why don't you just flip the dang thing around? Why don't you just put the latches on that side? Well, we want to put a door on this. We don't just want this to be exposed fridge. Don't love the look of that. And if we were to put the latches on this side, then the door would have to be spaced at least probably 3 inches in front of the latches because they're pretty long in order to allow for them to open. And then we for sure don't have the space for that back here. So we decided backwards open it is. It will open right now. Oh, of course. Oh, wasn't all the way out as I said that. But it will open right now. But again, like I said, it's mostly just we want to be able to reach those easily, and also we want to be able to have a drawer up here. So that's big for us, big for storage and utensils and things. So just a small revision there. You can see the base of it is just 3/4 inch piece of plywood, bolted or screwed to some 2x3s, excuse me. We're still going to build it up yet and build a little bit of a frame for the front door to attach to. Other than that, the fridge is mounted and pretty exciting. Moving along from the fridge, you can see we got the rest of our cabinets. Our cabinets are framed and in. And today I went ahead and put some of the face framing on it. So we just bought 1.5 inch face framing and then also some 2.5 inch that I cut down for the various sides and things like that. You can see I didn't do one here because we're still figuring out stuff with the chest fridge. These guys are both done. Here over on the other side, we have a little coffee bar. You can see we obviously added the plywood today. It's crazy how much just some plywood can make a difference here, folks. But also added the face framing to that guy, so that guy is ready to get some drawers in there, which would be super awesome. So maybe we'll be making some drawers next episode. So that's pretty much what we got done this week and weekend. Regan and I also tackled the very last bit of the electrical up here. It's still a mess. Ignore that. But we have pretty much every wire out of the bus, and it still starts as of now. There's one wire that potentially needs to be reattached, but the bus still starts and runs, and we've taken pretty much everything out besides the essentials. So that was looming over us, and we're glad we did that. But that's done. But to give you a preview for the next episode, this episode we made some magic with drawer slides here. Next episode we're gonna make some magic with drawer slides here. So you can imagine what's gonna go here, but it starts with pocket and ends with door. Yes, we're making a pocket door. So stay tuned for that next episode, guys. We're gonna get really, really creative with this. Obviously, we got creative with the couch. We're just using drawer slides in all the places they're not supposed to be used. But it works and it functions and it does what we need it to do. So hopefully the door is going to be the same way. With that being said, guys, we will see you next week. But first, go ahead and if you liked this video, if you liked anything in this video, if you liked our couch design, go ahead and give us a like, please. And of course, the most you can do is hit that subscribe button and also throw us a comment down below. Engagement helps us out, subscribers help us out, likes help us out. It all helps out, guys. So any bit of support you can show us, we truly, truly appreciate it. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we just hit 500 subscribers. We're so thankful for that, and just so excited to watch that keep going up and seeing more and more familiar faces showing up in the videos, showing up in the comment section. It's been an awesome journey, and as you can tell, some exciting things are happening. You guys are getting to see our creativity in the build a little bit more. We're not just building generic stuff. We're not just building random stuff, or we're just destroying things. We're getting creative. We're doing unique things. We're trying to make things a little bit different and do things our own way. But that's the coolest part about these buses is you can do it however you want and nobody else can tell you otherwise. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to get home to Regan and the dogs. We're going to have some dinner, but we're going to be back here. It's Thursday. We're going to maybe even be back here tomorrow night, but we're definitely going to be here this weekend. Hopefully going to have a door by the end of the weekend, and who knows what else. We're making some serious progress lately, guys. So we'll go ahead and we'll see you on the next one.